Cover up the alcohol.
Oh, Lord. So, why do you think we need to be podcasting again, Chaz?
Because you have a podcast to know why.
I know we haven't. Now, the guy who originally came up with the idea for a podcast is YouTube famous, and I don't know if our...
He's not here.
He's not here. It's his birthday.
Who is it?
Feliz Cumpleaños. Although this
Ruben.
is Ruben Diaz. But here's the thing, though.
Happy birthday, Dario.
Happy birthday, Dario. I'm not even the host of this show. Kurt is. So Kurt needs to get on the...
Kick this pig.
Let's kick this pig. We should probably open up more of these.
Hello and welcome to the Hospitalityc Authority podcast.
Hello.
I'm your host, Kurt Wissenberg. Here with me once again, Chaz Bader.
Hello.
I'm not sure his title.
I think
Conference Assistant.
I think it would be CB...
Volunteer.
Yeah, CB volunteer.
Conference Assistant Volunteer.
I think that's a great title. He's got a name tag.
Yeah, I do.
I know. I use it to hold up my schedule sometimes.
Schedule? Are you English? The schedule?
Maile Micheala Bader and Micheala
Marie Olson.
Marie.
Yeah.
Must we use a full name?
Well, Kurt Allen
Sometimes.
Wissenberg started it, so I only feel it's appropriate.
Miley Sue Marie Elac Bader.
I know. Chaz Michael Walter Bader.
I have the longest name in my class.
Well, that's not an accomplishment. That's just a
Because
fact.
your mom has everyone.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a contest.
It might be a contest.
So
It's not okay.
I had picked Conor McGregor.
You picked Conor
Sure,
McGregor?
oh, yeah.
I had no dogs in that fight.
But he
Oh.
lost. I mean, he lost fair and square.
He lost fair and square, but he had some pretty decent moves in there. But I think Khabib was all over.
Khabib is an animal.
Khabib was phenomenal.
I'll go out on a limb and say
What are
Tony
we talking
Ferguson
about?
can beat him.
Is that fight gonna happen?
It
Dude,
should, but
hey,
there's a-
Joe Rogan, could you do something? Because you know people, or Cameron Haynes, or Jocko Willink, or UFC. If you're listening to the little peeps of the world, Kurt Allen Wissenberg and Maile Sue Marie Elac Bader would really, really like to see that fight. I'd pay the $65 to see that. I paid the $65 to watch the last one, so it is good.
Short notice fight. Daniel Cormier and Derek Lewis are going to fight in 3 weeks.
Really?
In 3 weeks?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that one?
Cormier will beat him, but it'll be boring. I'm guessing.
Maybe. Dude, so Chromio reminds me of, oh gosh, what is the breed of that dog? He's
The
just
Rottweiler.
Yeah, he's a Rottweiler. Like he's a compact fighter that wears his feelings on his face.
Yep.
You don't even know who we're talking about. So I totally did not get into UFC fighting until you started working here. And then I started listening to Joe Rogan's podcast. And then I started watching or following Cameron Haynes' Instagram. And then Brendan Schaub, who, by the way, he is so smart.
Insightful.
Very.
Very smart for a Colorado Buffalo.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know if
saying
he
a lot, too.
graduated, but I mean,
I thought he did.
yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, but he called the incident this last weekend, like 2 weekends ago, whatever. He called it. He
Yep.
totally called
He
it.
said, I wouldn't go to that fight.
Well, I don't think he'd go to any fight, would he?
Probably not.
Because he said it stresses.
It affects him, but he said he wouldn't go just for safety because
And the anxiety.
of the fans of one fighter wanting to fight the fans of the other.
Mm-hmm. Because he said it was going to get down to a country fight. So.
But that's a tribal thing. I mean,
It is a tribal thing, which we studied a little bit when we were preparing for D4LC.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, great fight. though.
Tribalism is good and bad. And so the research that shows that tribalism is a thing is based strictly on evolutionary requirements of survival. Those humans who had tribes and clans and stuck together, big families had increased chances of survivability.
Enter Scotland.
But you can't, enter Scotland, but enter prehistoric man, who, of course, then still had to be leery of other clans, which goes back to the Micheala thing of judgment and why.
Oh, yeah!
Evolutionarily,
Oh my
we
goodness.
judge.
We're tying that way back to like a January conversation.
Exactly.
Which is showing you how evolution works, because some would say man cannot remember details like that, but Kurt Wissenberg just proved man wrong.
Mama, what are we talking about?
Well, we were talking about a UFC fight.
Okay.
Can you go help that person out at the counter?
Yep.
We were talking about a UFC fight,
Oh, whoopsies.
and
I'm just wondering where's the apartments or places we're staying. Is it in this building or the next?
oh my gosh, you know what's really impressive? What did you call him?
Conference
Assistant volunteer. Our conference assistant volunteer, Chaz, is voluntarily showing someone how to get to Tedward Lodge.
Yeah, he knew the answer to that question before it got asked.
I know. So follow it up with Micheala and tribalism.
Well, okay, so Micheala is so concerned that she judges people, right?
Right.
You hate it, but you do it.
I do it. We all do it. We've had this conversation. We all
have.
judge people.
It sucks when we have the conversations and they're really good, and then we try to have the conversations again
You can't
for the
repeat that.
podcast. They cannot be recreated. So I'll
It's
just
not
give.
like you can just instantly push a record button to record the podcast.
Probably we should record everything we say all day, but not do that. We shouldn't do that.
No. There's no way we should do that.
Because we're real humans, and this is a real office.
And life happens. Work happens.
So Micheala doesn't like to judge people, but she knows that
I do.
she does.
I would like to be less judgmental towards people and towards myself. If I can.
So then I Google it. This is how the story goes. Micheala doesn't like to judge people. I Google it. Find a couple studies on why humans judge. And you end up into like evolutionary biology and how humans judge because they can't trust other humans they don't know. Because back in the day, that could be lethal. To trust someone who appears untrustworthy. Because they could take your stuff or kill you. So that's why we do it.
Right. It's ingrained in us. It's in our
It's in our
DNA
DNA.
and our genetics.
Right. But now, instead of judging for survival, we judge
Because we don't like something or we I don't know.
it's petty.
Yeah. They're different from us, so we judge them.
Right.
They're different than what we're used to, so we judge them.
And we can't not do it.
Right.
We can't stop.
And I think as a society, we can be too judgmental and too focused on the outer appearance or the cover of the book as opposed to what's on the inside. And I'm one of those people at times. And I would like to not be one of those people. And so it is going to take a lot of practice to not be one of those people.
However,
It might not be possible.
you still need to judge people because let's go back to an hour or two ago to whatever dating app. Okay? What was it called?
Bumble.
Bumble. Which is you have to judge. It's the only thing you can do. It's the
Right.
only thing it's for.
Right. But
But you have rules. You have standards.
I have standards, yes. But in my hope is becoming less judgmental is to judge more on your character or to judge on things like on a dating app that you say you want or what you like as opposed to what I physically see.
And this is the difference between instinctive judgment, which is based in evolution, and then intellectual judgment, which is based in thought and reason and logic. But what did you say about that one dude?
I don't remember.
Oh, he's cute. Okay, so you're going through,
He was cute.
and I made the comment.
Is that the one we looked at?
No, you were on the phone and I wanted to show you, but I was like, I need to swipe right on this one.
Right.
Oh,
So
well,
I
that's
said
good.
he's got to be at least a 9 because her "ooh, that's cute" was audible.
Oh.
Otherwise, she's
It
just
wasn't
thinking
even
it.
like.
If it's like a 7, 8.
There was
Oh,
no,
it was just like an
control.
instantaneous.
It was an instantaneous. Oh, he's cute.
so at
Was it
least
his
a 9.
smile? Was there a twinkle in his eyes? Was
the
it?
smile? It was the smile. I like a good smile.
Well, and everyone should. I mean, there's just something about. I don't know. I think you can tell so much about a person when you can see a genuine smile.
Like a smile that lights up your face and your eyes. Like there's just something.
Pretty magical about that.
That's an instinctive judgment,
I know.
not an intellectual one.
I'm not saying I
How
want
do
to
you
get
feel
rid of
about it?
all of my judgments,
Just a
but
good-
I would like to be less judgmental.
Just a cute one.
You know what? I'm just gonna say.
No, Kurt.
I'm just gonna say, Michaela, because we've had this conversation before, in regards to quote unquote judgment in this area of your life. You can remove as much intellectual judgment as you are intellectual. Which one are we removing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Instinctual.
Instinctual.
I like to remove instinctual.
Instinctual judgment so that you can be open to intellectual judgment, but know full well that people like Kurt and I are going to fully embrace our
But Kurt,
instinctual judgment.
did we not just have this conversation about Courtney Love and how we judged, how we assumed?
100%.
Yes.
What did you think of Courtney Love?
If you look
She
at
looks-
Courtney Love after Kurt Cobain's death, she looked like she
Had just lost her husband?
no. Like she
Think of the whole videos.
The
What
whole-
did she look like?
yeah, like
She looked dirty. She looked nasty. She looked very unappealing.
intoxicated high.
I totally think she looked like a woman who had a child, who had a lifestyle to maintain, and she lost her husband in an incredibly public suicide.
Well,
like,
let's
I
not go
can't-
too far and
Don't
admit
get
to that.
into the suicide thing with him.
I'm just
But-
gonna say, I realize you think she killed her and killed him, but I'm just
Or had him
saying is
killed.
that
Thank you.
whatever. I'm just
this is-
saying though that whether it was real or not, I think that she was a woman who was really struggling,
And that's
and the show had to keep going.
but this
But that's not
but-
the point. The point is,
I brought that reasoning
Man, I missed a
into
great
the
conversation.
But as a society, as a lot of people looking at her, judged her as someone that was maybe a little too friendly with gentlemen, was dirty, didn't shower.
morally casual attitude toward
Dude.
relations.
They
Yes.
say that Brad Pitt doesn't shower, and he's been
They
voted
say-
sexiest
they also-
man how many
I know.
times?
They also say that Matthew
But
McConaughey doesn't wear
he
deodorant
doesn't-
and he smells.
He doesn't look like he doesn't
Which
shower.
he doesn't. That's the thing. Matthew McConaughey doesn't either. He actually doesn't wear deodorant. I remember Kate Hudson said in a statement that he did smell really bad in Fool's Gold, but she didn't notice it in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
All right,
But
I
anyway.
have. Okay, so do you think?
And he's been people's sexiest man, so...
Okay,
So many times.
judge a guy this way. He drives a Lincoln or he drives a 1986 Chevy Chevette.
Is it in
Dude,
good
is it a good
condition?
Chevette?
Like,
No.
is it in good
Is it
condition
yellow?
or is it rusted
No,
out?
I mean it's rusted out. It's a typical Chevette that you would find. It's still on the road.
But it's still running? I mean, that says he cares a
Or
little.
he drives.
Right?
It's
Or he
testing
drives-
my
Like,
judgment.
totally, right?
It's testing my
But
judgment.
it says, look,
He's
your dad
driving
is a...
or a 2018
Yeah, but my dad
Lincoln,
just, like
Matt
damaged his...
McConaughey.
He just damaged his vintage 1955 Ford.
I'm just
or
saying
Chevy
though that
pickup.
your dad's a car guy, and you grew up around that stuff. Like if you saw a
Kinda.
Chevette and you're like, dude, that kid. What if he bought it as his hope to restore whatever, and he's also.
Yeah, but
Are you going for a 2018 Lincoln?
Oh my god, no.
All I can hear is
No.
Eminem. Dun,
No.
dun, dun, dun,
Same
dun,
guy.
Dun.
Same guy. Driving a Chevette, driving a Lincoln.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Identical twins. One drives a Chevette.
You just said same guy,
I'm just
and now
saying-
it's identical
Same
Same
twins.
guy, identical twins,
Dude,
whatever.
so which one are you going for? The
What?
Lincoln or the Chevette?
Whoa. When did this become about my dating and my judgment?
Or because it's the same.
I'm not talking about
And
dating.
what guy I would go for?
Well,
not
no, we're
talking-
just talking instinctual judgment, right?
I'm not gonna lie, I would probably go for the person that has a better kept car.
Right, and
Because
that's-
in my opinion, like, a better kept car says a little bit more about your character or about what type of person you might be.
Okay, so I'm going to add one more level to this. So the Chevette is rusted out and the Lincoln's brand new. You look at the Lincoln and it's a frickin' pigsty. You look at the Chevette and it's pristine and
And that
vacuum.
might change my opinion. But I think you can tell a lot about a person about how they keep their car.
Have you been in the Deer Slayer?
Yes, Kurt warned me about the glass on the floor.
Don't pet the girl.
What's
Hey,
the deer
I
slayer?
paid $300 for that car, and I'm not spending time vacuuming the broken glass off the floor. I'll just as soon
Just
sell
put his
it.
passengers in harm's way, that's all.
But no, it's not in harm's way because he tells you about
I'm
it.
warned.
You did.
Riding in the Deer Slayer comes with a warning.
First thing I said when you sat down.
Don't rub your hand on the floor.
Thank you.
Kurt, is that like an instinctual thing for people who ride in your cars? They're like, oh, I need to
Let me touch the floor. Let me
You
touch
hang out with people who pet
the
the floor?
interior of the car.
Well, I don't hang out with people.
So you're unsure of how.
He has no social
I don't. No, I don't drive people around. So.
Okay.
Let me just say the first thing that Miley says when I get in her car is not don't rub your hand across the floorboard.
Well, that's because she doesn't have broken glass in the
What do
floor.
I say to you usually? No.
Oh, let me move my
You do the same. I gotta move my jacket and my keys. No, a lot of times I tell her, set the temperature whatever you want.
Yeah.
If we're gonna listen to this podcast,
Or
do
we're
you
gonna
want
listen to
coffee?
This book. Or
And we're gonna listen to this book. The last time we were in the car, though, I honored the day.
Yeah. It was Mean Girls Day on a Wednesday. So she played me the Mean Girls soundtrack.
I don't know what.
And I jammed out to it.
She did.
The only thing I know anything about what you just said is I know what Wednesday is.
Mean
I
Girls
know what a
Day.
Wednesday is.
So, Mean Girls is the movie of my generation. I will argue that
I've
with
heard
anybody.
of the movie. It's got that alcoholic woman in it.
Lindsay
Former.
Lohan.
That's it.
Yeah. But Mean Girls Day is October 3rd. It's a quote in the movie. There's a whole scene. And October 3rd was on a Wednesday. And on Wednesdays, they wear pink in Mean Girls. So it was like the perfect combination. And it was a big deal.
But we were going to a Huskers
Oh.
volleyball game after working in Lincoln all day.
and I was torn, so I wore pink lipstick because I couldn't wear pink.
But to make her feel better about the fact that she felt like she was dishonoring her generation's movie because Wednesday fell on October 3rd, I played it to the soundtrack all the way to Lincoln and all the way home from Lincoln. Which was okay because there's some good music on there, but for the most part it was painful.
Let me guess. It's like Good Charlotte and. crap
No,
like
Good
that.
Charlotte. It's Good Charlotte on any... Well, Pink was on there.
Pink's on there.
Yeah, God is a DJ.
Yes, they play that as they're getting ready for the big dance. The spring fling.
Anyway, I told her I was going to wear my pink sweatshirt from the Pink concert because that's about as close to pink as you will get me.
I wear pink lipstick. Because that's like the only pink I own now.
That day was hard. I wore black thinking it would be fine because we were going to a Husker volleyball
She
game.
didn't realize we were going to a game versus Iowa.
Well, I did, but I just assumed everyone understood that nobody would cheer for Iowa. Why would you cheer for Iowa? Why?
Well, if you grew up in Iowa or you went to
Let's
school
hear
in
the
Iowa.
groom of the wedding.
Oh, let's use the groom of the wedding last week. That was a little rough.
He's from
Mama, we
Iowa.
have 19 minutes already done.
That's great.
Um,
So, we need some. We should. So.
I don't
Okay,
know,
so
I
we
feel like
learned
this-
about. Did we talk about tribalism and judgment?
Nope. We
well,
talked about.
we did. The points that get brought up are, it's good to judge. It keeps people safe.
Does.
It does, because you have to judge.
You have a bit of
I mean,
a gut instinct about
and-
someone.
And there you have senses that probably you don't know about and that we can't prove exist.
And my point is, I don't want to get rid of my gut instinct about people. I don't. Because I tend to have, I feel like, a pretty good gut instinct about people. For the most part. But I would like
You're a
to...
lot more forgiving than a lot of people, though.
I am.
Because you're nice.
You can get away with a lot of strikes with me.
I
But,
don't get that.
because I can always see the good in people. That's, like, a positive and a negative.
Maybe
in
that's
my
why I
life.
sit between you and Kurt at the desk.
Like,
Because Kurt
I give
is like a
people-
huge skeptic, and I'm the medium skeptic, and you're the happy optimist.
yeah, remember, we had this conversation because I felt bad for somebody, and Kurt's like, you should not feel bad for that person at all. And I do. But anyway,
Still?
I mean,
No,
yeah.
it's like forever. Why do you still feel bad?
Because the way that they looked, I felt bad. Because they obviously felt like, anyway, whatever. Not the point of this conversation. No one knows what we're talking about.
Okay, let's...
But I would like to be, I would like to not ignore my gut instinct. But to be more open to people that look different than I do. That are different from where I grew up. I was that way in college. Thankfully, my friends in college were a wide variety and a diverse group. But moving back to a small town in a very rural area where everyone, for the most part, looks the same. Said the most part.
It's like,
Looks the same.
have you looked at the staff that works with you?
Did we not hear the most part that I emphasized?
for the most part.
Okay.
Everyone looks the same. And so, for the last 6 years, I've been exposed to people that are mostly white people,
I believe
are
the term
far-
is Caucasian.
Caucasian people, that look the same and believe the same things for the most part and live life very similarly, right? And so, that is what my body has become habit. Like, that's, my perspective. And I would like to change that.
Are you afraid you're going to turn racist?
That's actually a really good question.
I do. Because growing up, everybody in my school, with the exception of one person, was Caucasian or white. And everybody in my town, with the exception of, like, 2 people, were Caucasian or white.
Okay.
And I was not exposed to anybody. And there was always conversations against Mexicans or Hispanics. Like, that was, a lot of the conversation in my family.
And jokes.
Or homosexuals. Like, there was that conversation. And so I lived under a rock and was very, naive when I went to college. And then when I went to college, my entire group of friends were mixed. I had 2 Mexican friends who were my best friends. One of them was gay, and he was one of my best friends. And I went to school with kids that were from
It's done.
completely different backgrounds than me, and it broadened my horizons. And now I don't have that variety necessarily. Like, I do, but I don't.
Do you think, though, that given what you do for a living, you were working here at the Leadership Center with all the guests and the different clientels and their background and the purposes that they come here for will help you from not becoming...
My fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are very fortunate to serve a really wide variety of clients and a very broad spectrum. Everything from transgender to, foster kids. It's people that have seen all walks of life. But that's for a short-lived time. That's not a day in, day out interaction. You know what I mean? Like a constant interaction. because we don't constantly have diverse groups always.
Okay, I understand that. I think we have a lot more than we used to. But then
yeah.
you also look at the fact that you work with a really diverse staff. If you think about the fact that you work with permanent residents, you work with people from different countries, you work with people of different races, you work with people of different belief systems, and different backgrounds. Don't you think that that would help you from becoming your fear as well?
Yeah, because Dario for sure keeps me in check on things, like, and him and I have so many conversations about stuff like that, but like, and I'm more aware of different statements that, like, just different statements that I hear or people things people say, and it makes me more conscious to it, like, and so it definitely makes me more, like, not afraid that I'm going to become my fear. But to some degree, like, it's still there. Like, it's always going to be there, I think. Like, there's just that little seed. And so, I don't know. When did this become a therapy session?
I wanted to say, in customer service, you have to be politically correct.
Right.
And that's difficult for me because I'm not politically correct. I abhor it. I abhor the concept of increased political correctness. Yet here, I have to be politically correct.
So,
I don't like it.
First off,
I feel like I'm lying sometimes.
Right. Like, and I mean, I know, like, I appreciate so much that I work at a facility, at a place that is culturally diverse. I mean, there was a time where we were a little bit more culturally diverse. We're not quite as culturally diverse as we were
right
3 years ago.
But I think our team, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I absolutely know what you mean.
But I'm so grateful at the different personalities that we have, but also the different ethnicities and races that we have, and the different beliefs that we have, because it does help broaden my perspective and broaden my thought process on things and help make me more aware to different things. But it still doesn't change the fact that we live in a town or in a county that is predominantly Caucasian and the same beliefs and the same
I think that's a fair
lifestyle.
2 things. One, we want to let everyone know. Oh my gosh, I'm taking Kurt's job and he knows it. I'm sort of sorry. Not really. First off, I got to tell you, one of our favorite podcast guests just joined us, and he's really, really remarkable, and he might actually have some insight on this. Chef John is here. Say hi, Chef.
Hello, all.
So I want to address 2 things. Right now we're talking. What do you want to, Kurt? What's the summation that we're telling Chef so that he knows how to put input?
Well, I'll first say that Chef looks a lot like the chef from South Park.
Oh!
That's not true. See,
It's not.
You just judged him. We're talking about judgment.
Oh.
We're talking about judgment, yeah.
And well, more to the point, we're talking about Micheala's fear of judging.
Essentially, this is like a therapy session, or
Really
like...
is.
No, here, I think, first off, no, there's no first off. Let's just, here's my 17 cents.
17 cents.
Yeah, exact change. First off, Micheala, well, I understand and respect your fear, and I think it's admirable that you have noted that and you've noted it publicly. I don't know. Well, maybe you could. Yeah, I guess you could become a racist sitting right next to me at the desk, but I don't know how that's possible. Though I have been told that I'm very fortunate to how people perceive and respect me, which I think is funny. But in regards to my ethnicity. But I think, though, that if you're here doing what we do for a living, that fear should be at bay. Secondly, I get what you're saying sometimes, Kurt, that it feels like we're almost lying when it comes to having clients come in and we have to be in customer service. And at times I have wrestled with that, because there have been times where we've had groups here where I staunchly disagree with their beliefs or how they treat a certain group or what they think However, one of the things I love about being at the Leadership Center is that we provide a safe space for clients to meet. And our why is we create moments that matter. And I love the fact that even when we can blatantly, in our heart of hearts, disagree with the group that is here, and they are not harming people, if they are not, things like that. I mean, we create a space where they're allowed to come and learn and have moments and create memories, and they're allowed to believe what they believe. And I also love that to the fact that we've got a team that is made up of people who, well, sometimes I think we all really are family and we look the same, but I mean, you can have your different senses of humor, you can have absolutely different fundamental beliefs, you can look different, you can come from different backgrounds, and yet we are all safe, we are all welcomed, and we are all loved in this place. And I think that is really special. And I think that is also why we are as good at what we do, because of that. And so while I can understand where it feels like you're like, oh, like I would like to tell you why I think you're wrong and this is this or this or this, I love the fact that no matter what that is, we're able to put aside our personal beliefs and provide a space for people to come and commune. And I think that's important. Yeah, Chef.
I'll give you my input on the conversation.
We always like your input, Chef.
Here, this is literally how my mind operates on that subject matter. I willingly chose to enter the hospitality industry. The hospitality industry does not target men or women or blacks or whites or young or old or gay or straight. It targets everyone. Any one of your customers, those who have money and want to purchase your services. That's hospitality. If you aren't willing or able to push that aside and understand that you put yourself out there, you say, hey, we have a space for a party. Who wants to rent it from us? Anyone could show up.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone could ask for a quote. And if you're not willing to accept anyone that has money in their hand, you're in the wrong career. That's the nuts and bolts of it. I'm very opinionated on other people's beliefs, or, in comparison to mine, don't think I'm not. But that's outside the time clock.
But I also appreciate that when we're off the time clock, Chef, you are willing to have educated, open conversations, which I think is another thing that shows our staff, most, if not all of our staff, are willing to have those open conversations where we can agree to disagree.
Can have intelligent conversations.
And I like that. And I always learn from those things. I can completely, there are times that I want to have a knockdown, drag-out fight with 1 or 2 or 6 of our staff. But I always walk away thinking, gosh, I'm really glad so-and-so said that, because I wouldn't have thought of it that way. And I love the fact that I think, at least for the most part, we've opened ourselves to teachable moments like that.
I think so, yes.
So, I don't know. But I appreciate your honesty about being fearful about potentially becoming that. Because on the flip side, I worry about, I look at the fact that I'm not white. I'm Hawaiian, Filipino, German. And I get told on a really regular basis that I'm very, very blessed, that people respect me as white. I don't know what that means. I think actually if you have to say that, that's probably not respect.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
And then I've also been said I'm so fortunate that my beautiful son doesn't look like me, so people will always think he's his dad's son. And in 2018, going into 2019, I'd like to think we're beyond that, because I know what it was like to grow up with racism. I don't think I experienced it on the same level as everybody else. But I know that my brother and I and my mom, who's a wonderful woman, experienced what racism can be like and what hate or judgment can feel like. And I don't talk about that a lot because I don't want that to be my narrative. I want to flip it on its head and create a space where everybody's welcome.
So, along with that, I guess, go full circle in my stance, is I look at the way, and this is a little political, how divided and how divisive our country is right now. And how there is a very, polar opposite views on things. And how there are some people that are very close-minded and very not willing to look outside of their opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to become that person. I want to be a person that continues to have an open mind and an open perspective to every opinion, every belief, but still be strong in my beliefs and my morals. But I never want to close myself off from what other people experience, how other people live, because I don't think that is a great way to live, and I don't think that that can be a positive society or culture to raise a child or to raise a family, honestly. And that is where my fear is, especially now that our country is so divided and so divisive and so many people are fighting with each other and they're not willing to have an open conversation and to have, even if it's heated, to not be mean to each other and to not call people names. I just don't want to become that. And so I fight to continue to have that open perspective and to have my eyes open to other things other than what I believe traditionally. And so that is a big thing behind why I want to get rid of judgment or lessen the amount of judgment, because Kurt and I have talked about this. We can't get rid of judgment completely.
No, because
but
it's not
to
healthy.
lessen the amount of judgment that I have or I put out into the world, because I do want to live life openly and not, close myself off, and to be able to have those educational and informational conversations.
Kurt, is it to lessen judgment or is it to leverage how you use that judgment?
No, it's awareness.
Awareness, okay. I knew there was a word.
Simply awareness. Because if you're aware you're doing it, then you can make intellectual decisions about what you're seeing and whether or not what you're seeing is true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this dude has a face tattoo. All right, that's one of my judgers. Okay, if you have a face tattoo, I go, oh, you probably have a mugshot. Okay, now why? Because I see a lot of mugshots on the news of dudes with face tattoos.
Mugshot or
Okay,
Mike Tyson? Oh
so-
wait, he has one.
Right, of course he does. And so that's one thing. It's like, all right, you have a face tattoo, and I'm going to meet you for the first time, and I have to be aware that I've already judged you, and so then you have to try to give more leeway.
So we were discussing this in one of the workshops we did at Milford High School. We did a workshop called Shine, and we talked about the stats that was it Harvard University did a study on first impressions. It takes 7 seconds for someone to assess how they feel about you, and it takes 7 more meetings for them to change their opinion about you.
I've heard that.
And it was really interesting that this workshop came up at the time it did, because I was telling them about an experience I had had at a high school with a student who actually showed up for an interview wearing inappropriate clothing and then gave me the international symbol for hello from Top Gun in a very crude manner in the parking lot of a school. And it just progressively got worse. And I was going to see that individual at a wedding I was going to. And I thought, that was 10 years ago or whatever, and I realized, like, gosh, can I at all change? I was super happy they weren't there, because I didn't know how much I could get beyond the fact that this kid had told me how an inappropriate comment about 5 out of 7 different ways you can do it, And yet I still hope they've grown up to be some kind of really great adult doing productive things in society. I just know that they wouldn't be in my chosen circle.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would love, and this is the like idealistic.
your utopia? What's your utopia, Micheala?
Is that we could live in a society and be people that are open to others, willing to have educational and informative conversations without getting heated, being able to look at other people's perspectives even though they don't match what we believe, and to just live in a society where that is the case.
To live in a society where it's okay to disagree.
I know, Kurt. Stop shaking your head.
But it's okay to disagree.
It's okay to disagree. It's okay to have different beliefs.
So we could even, John and I could have a heated conversation, or Kurt and I could have a heated conversation, or you and I could have and then tomorrow we come back to work and we'd be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't fear those that look different
Kurt
than us.
and I have.
Unless we get a bad gut reaction. We don't fear them just because... I don't fear Miley because she is darker than I am.
We're practically the same color.
We're not anymore.
But I mean, really? Like,
But you know what I mean? Like, we don't...
We're the same color.
But we don't make statements publicly saying, so-and-so, this race is the reason we don't have jobs. This, whatever, without statistics. Those are fear-based statements. And all it does is induce fear in others. And I would love to live in a society where we don't try to cause fear in other people because they look different than us, or we're scared,
or we belong to two different political parties,
right?
Or
I know it's
There's more
idealistic.
than two political parties, but that's a side note.
But I know
what I was saying is that like her and I oh my lord!
It's
so if you don't belong to the Green Party, you can't be friends with who aren't in the Green Party, or the Libertarians, or
right, because I am a registered Democrat, I can't be friends with Kurt because he's a Libertarian, or because so and so my family is Republican and I'm a Democrat. Like, trust me, there have been many heated conversations at my family gatherings.
But you still go back for Sunday dinner and you love it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're able to have those conversations, and we may have to squash it or table it or whatever and leave, but we're still able to have a relationship. I think that is my idealistic way. I would love to have everyone in this country.
See, I would tell you that I don't think that's idealistic. I think that's being a responsible human. Is that
love.
Utopian?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
100%? Mm-hmm. The 8-year-old in the room says yes!
Well,
Chaz, why
because you said, why just this country? Because you said this country. Why just this country? Why
okay.
I would love the world to
All
be
humans.
able to be respectful
and
to each
aliens
other.
and planets, suns and moons.
That's the big thing. I would love for us to be respectful towards each other. Not just in the United States, but in the world.
So you're saying that we don't all have to get together around a bonfire and sing Kumbaya, but you would like us to be respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Chaz, do they teach that to you in school? Do they teach you to be respectful to people?
Yes.
And can you sit up? What do they teach you about respect?
Not to bully others.
Okay. And are you supposed to love all people,
Mm-hmm.
no matter if they smell
Mm-mm.
or if they are mean? Maybe you're probably supposed to love them even more when they're mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or they look different than you.
Or they look different?
No.
You're not supposed to be mean to them?
No.
And you're not supposed to stop loving them?
Mm-mm.
Do you have friends that don't look like you?
Mm-hmm.
And do you have friends who don't go to the same church as you?
Mm-hmm.
And do you have friends who don't go to church?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And you still love them all? They're still friends? Okay. So far, I think I'm doing okay.
Can we go back to childhood where like everything is like
Yeah.
He's
No.
good at trained responses.
No.
I don't know. No. Well, but John, okay, that's a good point though. So Olivia, your beautiful, wonderful, talented daughter that we've had the privilege to meet and teach, Doesn't look like you. Actually, she looks a lot like you, and it's creepy.
She sure acts like me.
But she looks a lot like you, and you're not actually related.
I'm not her biological father. No.
So I think there's a lot to be said about nature versus nurture.
Mhm.
How has Olivia done in this town?
So far, so good.
And she likes it, and she feels
Yes.
welcomed and
Yes.
loved.
Mhm.
And then how about, like, I know you guys have lived other places and stuff. How have you taught your children to love humans and animals and aliens and other suns, planets, and moons?
I have tried my best to drill into their heads my perspective that I dealt with or lived with most of my adult life in the military. Your race didn't matter. Your sex didn't matter. None of that mattered. Your merit is if
Ding, ding, ding.
Yep.
So tell us, what is good merit to you, Chef John?
integrity. There's so little integrity that I see. I mean, that's a blanket statement, not just here in this building. People doing the right thing, the humane thing, even when no one's watching. That's integrity. It's not there. Not 100% gone, but in common decency. So. And,
Wow, and then you picked hospitality.
Yep. See, I get paid to make food. And so, I don't have to love you. I don't have to hate you. I will hate you if you don't pay on time. But that's the only stipulation.
But that's a
from-
contractual thing,
Yes.
and that's a black and white thing.
Yep.
Kurt, you have beautiful children. We love your children. Byron makes us smile. Wolfie makes us happy. He's not a child. Wolfie's a stuffed animal. Your gorgeous daughter, Alexis, that you talk about. And then you've got 2 older ones and a grandchild. They don't all look like you. Well, Byron is a mini you.
Brian looks a lot like me
Like, it's crazy.
when I was 4.
But
So when you go back to your child.
A mini me.
Mm-hmm.
how are you teaching your children to love big and openly, but carefully?
Okay, so I'm different.
We know. That's
All right,
Really?
No, we talk a lot about kindness, and I often talk to Alexa about being kind because she wouldn't say that she's popular in her class and she doesn't really want to be, whatever. It doesn't bother her much, but sometimes it gets to her that she's not, the cool girls or whatever, because 6th grade girls are mean sometimes.
It can
Sometimes.
Yeah, so...
be. Not all the time, but sometimes.
So, okay, so, be kind, be as kind as you can, as often as you can, but it's hard. There's no way you can do it all the time. No one can. And if you get picked on, you're going to get picked on. I don't care who you are, you're just going to get picked on. Even if you're the most popular kid in the class, you're going to
Everybody
get
gets
picked on.
picked on.
And it's more how you handle it than the fact that it happens. But I also say, if you ask them to stop and they don't stop, and you punch them, I'm okay with that too. So I know that that's not kind, but
It's just.
I'm not gonna yell at you when the principal calls
One
and
thing-
says that happened.
I appreciate, and something I've learned from you as a parent, is when you talk specifically about your daughter, and you talk about how you're trying to teach her to protect herself. And not just how she is with her friends, but to protect herself.
Mm-hmm.
And that how you have taught her that she's of value, and that no means no. And I really think that is important, and it's a value. Like, I think it's good. But I love on the same note that you have taught her kindness, because it's really easy to take it to the extreme and be like, no, you don't have to be nice because you're a perfect angel.
Well, she has had kids pick on her and stuff, and she hasn't punched anybody because she doesn't really want to. She's like, well, that's me. Even though she fully has permission to do so. Not permission, but
Well, no, we know what you mean.
but she knows that if she smacks somebody for calling her a racial slur or whatever, that I wouldn't be mad at her. Her mom would not be mad at her. We would get it.
She
wouldn't be grounded or anything. She wouldn't get her iPad taken away.
And does she have those experiences?
Yeah, but it's so rare.
I was gonna say, is it rare?
So rare.
Because I was gonna say, I have to somewhat believe, even though the tense times we live in, that it's getting more rare than
So
it
rare.
was
And
in 1995
She lives in a town
or
with-
87.
She looks like she's Hispanic, or Hispanic Native American.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of looks. I mean, she looks it. But you talk to her for 2 seconds, she sounds like a little white girl. I mean, a stereotypical little white girl.
Okay.
So
I don't know.
she's not the only brown kid in her class. She's definitely not the darkest.
It's interesting when Chaz realized that he wasn't 100% German. And I think it's because we never talked about what we were. But he also never realized I didn't look like him. And so I like to think that's a parenting win. I don't
But see,
know.
kids don't see race, and that's why Michaela's fear of judging and being stereotypical, I think, is silly, because of anyone in this room right now, you're not going to become racist because you're aware.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're so
aware of it that there's no way, and racism, I think, is learned. I don't know the data, but I think people learn to be racist. I think they're taught that. And I just, you'd have to be on board with racism to become racist.
I'd say I think that's true because I don't think I realized ever that I didn't look like everyone else until someone called my brother and I something, and we came home and we had to ask our mom what that meant. And first off, the shock, the second off, the apology, and her hugging us and then saying we don't use those words, and I'm going to tell you why. And it took me a long time to understand why anyone would see us differently.
I also think that
So
we're living in a time where people in the United States are the least racist that they have ever been.
yeah,
Like, I mean, there's no way we're getting more racist.
though I think people would disagree.
There's no way. If they disagree, I'm going to say, show me some stats.
I think they're just
Because
more vocal.
Facebook posts, just because racists are louder now, doesn't mean we are more racist.
I just think they're more vocal, more comfortable.
Right.
We've had this
So
conversation.
Yeah,
the
I
very
guess
few
that's
people who are racist have easy ways to disseminate information. They have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever.
Oh, yeah, Michaela-
Where before, if you go back to the 60s, the KKK could send out a newsletter or whatever. It's so different.
Kayla and I talked about the dissemination of news the other day, and it's very, very interesting how watching the news used to be something you did as a family in the kitchen or whatever. You watch the 6 o'clock, the 10 o'clock, whatever. And now neither one of us like to watch the news. Like, we know what's going on current event wise, but we don't watch the news because it's like, what is
What's the
newsworthy?
local news? The local
Yeah.
news is still good.
I
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
local news, but
Thanks, Taryn and John. We still watch you.
Yeah.
So I think it's important though. I think it's great that we can have conversations like this. And I wish that more people had the opportunity to have open
see my
conversations
ideal
like this.
world.
Yeah, right here in this office.
Because Lord knows we all don't agree on everything.
Oh, Lord, no. Not
Michaela-
even.
Michaela doesn't even know she's a libertarian yet.
I am not a libertarian.
she,
Stage 1 denial.
you know,
That was me for years.
I remember Kurt and I.
There's so many
The
there's
first-
a few fundamental things that I do
I-
not agree with. As a
So,
libertarian.
yeah, there's
You
two.
agree with a lot of the libertarian
I'll tell you.
policy points that I disagree with.
I will tell you that I'm not going to call them out, but I will say there's two fundamental beliefs that Kurt also disagrees with in the Libertarian Party, but he is proud, loud and proud. I sometimes, when I said a comment the other day and I was like, whoa, Kurt's in my head. No, I think it's pretty cool though that we can have those conversations, and no matter what our belief system is, we are so happy to welcome our guests as they come in the door with whatever they're bringing in. And I love the fact that, in a way, we've created that kind of utopian space on this 43 acres.
Lake Utopia.
Lake Utopia. The Leadership Center is a utopia where you can come and believe what you believe during your time. But to be said, it's not a utopia because you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Right?
This is commerce.
This is commerce. But it's commerce without an angle. Is that correct to say, Kurt?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
On a completely off the topic note, because I feel like we're wrapping up this podcast.
Oh, we're wrapping.
Go Big Red!
No. Can introduce Dario back into this conversation?
Oh my gosh, well, Dario.
Because
We'd
he
be
hasn't
here
been here for a few podcasts.
yeah.
Hey, Mr. Diaz, we know you're off celebrating your birthday with your family. We miss you. Come back.
Ditto.
You know what, though? He's famous now.
I don't care.
Do we have to call his agent?
So the podcast was his idea.
The podcast was his idea, but
We
now
were first.
he works for the numbering company on their show.
Is he getting paid?
I don't know, but is there it's not a competition, right?
We were first.
Well,
And foremost.
yeah. Oh my gosh, we should open the door because that guy has never been
No.
on the
You know-
podcast.
We
Wait.
are we are
this
wrapping
was
it
a
up.
15
Oh, my
minute
Lord.
podcast that is now an hour.
Okay.
Thank you for listening. I know no one's listening anymore because this one was really long.
Dario will be back for the next one.
Hospitalityc Authority podcast here at the Leadership Center. We create moments that matter. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.